Thanks for joining us for Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. Our guest today is the Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Senator Royal Reid. It's a big portfolio, but it has someone who is eminently qualified to fulfill those responsibilities. We thank you for your company. Minister, good to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you very much, Ian. Nice to have me.
The Alternative Pathways to Education is one of the programs that you have spoken about since becoming minister, and it has generated quite a bit of discussion. Tell us essentially what is the rationale of this new program?
Well, what is the rationale of this program is an understanding of some of the reforms that need to take place in the education system. And remember, we're following the reform informed by the Task Force report on education that successive ministers have been trying to implement. We have looked at some particular targets that we want to reach for 2015 in terms of the amount of students leaving high school.
2016
well,
onward. Yeah.
well, originally it was a 2015 target,
yes.
right? And I'm saying that certainly we haven't met some of those targets, and we have to relook at how we do things. And this came about also in reviewing GSAT, because part of the alternate pathway in secondary education is a review and a reform of GSAT. And persons have been asking that we need to change GSAT from just a strictly placement exam to really assessing student readiness and competencies, particularly in the higher order skills. But there's other dimension that there are a lot of kids who have not mastered and done very well in numeracy or literacy. And you also have to have a pathway for them as well. So we had under former Minister Andrew Holness, the A-STEP, which was a competency-based model in terms of literacy and numeracy, where if you hadn't mastered, you will be kept back and you would have had intervention program before you're able to transition. But if that takes 2 or 3 years, you actually get stuck in that system. So with the alternate pathway, we are reforming GSAT, but allow everybody to transition into the secondary system, but with support and put them on pathways that are more in line with their interests and abilities.
Does the school system have the capacity for this, or will the students, in fact, not just be confined to the traditional classroom?
Well, they would certainly won't be confined to the traditional classroom, and in turn, as I spoke earlier about reform, these are some of the robust things which I've been doing with the system anyway, because every child is unique, and we know that children don't all progress at the same pace, they don't have the same learning styles. So what we need to do in terms of preparing our teachers at the teacher training institutions as well as the in-service teachers is to empower them and let them focus on these well-tested and known strategies of differentiated instruction. So we are right now ramping up our training and orientation of our teachers to ensure that they are planning for all the students that are in their class. In fact, my old school JC is a practice that we have demonstrated, where you do a diagnosis of each group of students that you get, and you assess their strengths and their abilities, and then you have instruction that is targeted to meet their particular interests and abilities.
So this extra 2 years that we have heard talked about, would the students on that program voluntarily opt for that, or is?
Sorry, it's voluntary in the main, but I have said elsewhere that as the system is currently configured, most students would have done 7 years of high school anyway, because the top performers then go on to sixth form or go on to college. We don't have a difficulty with that. The problem is that 70% of our kids in the secondary system do not meet the required standard at grade 11. And therefore, it is certainly not a wise thing for us to throw these kids out of the system. And as I said, we are now not only Ministry of Education, but Ministry of Education, Youth. And Information. My target group is 0 to 29. I want all my children, all my students 0 to 29 to remain attached, not detached. If we detach them from the system, I know we'll have the headache along with my team to find them in the communities, find them when they're in the clutches of not so nice persons. And then we have all the social problems that attend to those kind of persons. So the system is designed to allow students with the diverse abilities to find themselves, and by trying to reach 18 and beyond, they continue with their education and training. And we want to engender a culture of continuous education, right? So even age 18, we must not have in the minds of our people in Jamaica that you just end your whole education career and stop. You must want to continue to build and to reach for the stars. So if you're doing NCT vet qualification, you move on to the next level and you go up to the highest level that is possible, right? So we also want to structure our education system that whether traditional general education or what we call technical education, either pathway you take, you're validated. It is just as good as any. You have chosen to be a lawyer or a doctor. I don't know that a doctor can equally say he's better than a lawyer. A lawyer is as valuable as a doctor is, and so a mechanic and so a chef should be validated.
So it's a matter of respecting a diversity of skills.
Absolutely, because we need everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Senator Ruel Reid, telling us about his educational philosophy. He has more to tell us when we come back from our break.